the probably most well-known documentation is a stretch, visualization of this is in Top Gun. So how realistic is it?
I'd say it's a documentary, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
I'm joking. Our volleyball's shit. No, do you know what? It's the process, how it represents the environment is pretty accurate. Obviously, there's Hollywood added to a lot of it. The second one, clearly is more accurate than the first because, as modern films have developed, as has their research and development, and also the support they have for it. So, Top Gun 1, I grew up, or Top Gun as it's called, I grew up, I love that film. That kind of inspired me. And that happens, you can see the sheer power, when they increase the thrust and you get the afterburners, you see all the fire come out the back of the jet and the jet starts spinning around. That's true. That happens, The kind of dogfighting, low-level dogfighting it's called, that happens. That's all true. The Americans live a bit of a... Do you know what? Probably it's more accurate to American squadron than a British squadron. Where
that doesn't shock me.
In everything in life, we just don't accept the cheese as much, do we, in our way of life? So, we didn't even have call signs, so Maverick doesn't exist in the Royal Air Force, unfortunately. It's just your last name with a Y on it. So, Losey for me, and that's it. I think we just kind of roll with it. So, I kind of hope it's because we're a bit more understated. Clearly, there's a lot of ego flying around because you do need ego and you need self-belief when you're strapped into a jet. And, most of these aircraft are what we call single seat. So there's no navigator in the back. Going through training, you would have an instructor in the back for some trips. There are some jets that do have navigators, but the airplanes we flew, they just had one seat. So, in moments of crisis, you're going fast. There's huge amounts of information to process. There's no sitting there and asking questions. You have to believe in yourself because you need to cipher through what's right and wrong and make a decision. And the cheesy thing I will say here is that, fighter jets have and will continue to change the history of the earth, of the world and civilization. We're talking right now, and there's some pretty tasty stuff, unfortunately, going on in the Middle East. That will change generations of people. So you have to make sure you know exactly what you're doing at the right moment and you get it right, because going wrong is front page global news and possibly massive political and economic, problems if it was the wrong decision. So or knock-on effects if it's the wrong decision. So you've got to get it right. So that's the high-end stuff. It's not the top off jeans on playing volleyball with your mates. But that happens. The socializing is fantastic. But if you go on to the second one, which I think is called like Top Gun Maverick or whatever they called it, I would say that's more realistic to what they're high-end flying's trying to achieve. And even though it's called Top Gun, we have a version of that in the UK. We call it the Qualified Weapons Instructor Course. Even that, we can't bring ourselves to be cheesy enough to call it Top Gun. But it's a similar thing. The top pilots every year in the entire Air Force are put on this course, whatever airplane they're flying, and they're given all the resource. For example, let's say there's 150. Is an inaccurate number, but let's say it's been 150 and 200 pilots flying the Typhoon. 4 pilots will get on the Top Gun school, if I can call it that on here, for that calendar year. And they will be trained in everything that aircraft does and become tactical experts. They'll be experts on system knowledge, weapon employment, tactics. They'll also be instructors for the next generation, new guys joining the squadron or new missions coming in. They're the guys that will be designing them. So you hold the standard really moving forward. And that's about 7 months. And that's kind of what the Top Gun school that you see in the film is depicting, that the high-end guys on each squadron getting sent to a dedicated school to become the best they can be. So that was also very accurate. And what I thought was really good about the second one is now the aerial photography and the footage that you watch, that's what it's like. That is what it's like. When you set up for a dogfight, you are what we call nose to nose. So their aircraft pointing at your aircraft. So you start on a neutral footing. You're both doing about 480, 500 miles an hour. So you have a closing speed of 1,000 miles an hour. You pass each other at about 500 feet. And you have to make an instant decision about how you're going to turn, where you're going to put your energy in order to get into hopefully a winning position, or how you're going to defend because he's coming in a lot faster as a more capable aircraft. So, and you see that's what's being represented in those dogfights in the film. So, yeah, it's accurate, just with a little less cheese. That's what I'd say.